Dr. B.M. Hegde is an Indian medical scientist, educationist, and author. He is a retired Vice Chancellor of Manipal University and the head of Mangalore chapter of Bharatiya Vidya Bhavan. He has authored many books on medical practices and ethics. He is also the editor-in-chief of Medical Journal. He was awarded Dr. B.C. Roy Award in 1999. In 2010, he was honored with the Padma Bhushan, one of India's highest civilian awards.
Let me express my profound sense of gratitude to Guruji and all of you who have kindly invited a villager for a conference like this of international dimension. My only worry now is, Mark Twain once said, the human brain is a wonderful organ which starts to function from the time you're born, only to stop when you stand before an audience after a brilliant speaker has spoken to speak. Now my brain is stopped. So from now on, I'll be speaking from my spinal reflex. Friends, I have been asked by Rita Mahajan to speak about the future of medical care system in India. So I'll confine myself to that. Now I know this is all about quantum physics. Quantum physics is a new science from the West, which tries to understand this universe. Let me define science. I have my own definition of science. Science is something which tries to understand this universe, how it works. Science is not something which teaches the universe how it should work. The Western science, which is called the reductionist science, is now trying to teach the world how to work. I'll give you an example. If you don't have a baby, now the Western science says we will create a baby in the test tube. If you can't deliver normally, we will take the baby out through the abdomen. But we don't realize how we are affecting nature's working. I'll give you a simple example. For every cell in the human body, we have 10 germ cells inside us. In other words, we are germs actually. We have come from germs and we are germs. But these germs, most of them come when you come out to the mother's genital tract. 90% of these germs go in when you come out of the mother's tract. Rest of them, of course, are there in your womb, in the mother's womb itself. Now, if you take the baby out from here, God only knows what will happen to that baby in the future. There are not enough studies to say what happens to these cesarean delivered babies. But what shocks me is the way we are going. A lady doctor came to me the other day and she said, in Hyderabad city, 90% of the women deliver through cesarean section. There's something wrong with our health. We call it a health care system. No, we don't have a health care system. We have a health scare system. Frightening people. What we are having is a sickness care industry. One of the most lucrative industries in the world is sickness care industry, which is 3 times more powerful than the oil industry. You probably don't know. It's a multi-trillion-dollar industry. Now, every industry, in one sense, in the philosophic sense, is a curse on mankind. Did you know that? No. 1802, the first industry started in Europe, to be precise, in England. And there was this romantic English poet, William Wordsworth. And Wordsworth wrote a beautiful poem when the industry was coming up. The poem's name is "The World is Too Much With Us." I'll give you 4 lines, rest you go and read. The world is too much with us, late and soon. Getting and spending, we seem to have lost our powers. Little do we see our own thing in nature. We have sold our soul to the devil, a sordid boon. Full stop. A little while ago, the editor of the magazine here, a brilliant young lady, a great scholar of Telugu, asked me one question. Doctor, we all look up to doctors as gods, but why are our doctors not behaving like gods? Very pertinent question, very pertinent question. My answer is very simple. Whole society has become so corrupt that doctors also come from the same society. We are not descending from heaven as a separate entity. So if 10% of the society is corrupt, 10% of the doctors must be corrupt. But unfortunately, what happens is there's a great attraction here for making money, and quick money at that. So because sickness care has become an industry. So it is perforce a law that we doctors also must be commercial. So we have become commercial. Hippocrates, whom we claim as the father of modern medicine, Western medicine, has clearly said that we have 3 roles to play in society. Remember that? Cure rarely, comfort mostly, but console always. What a beautiful saying. Cure rarely. You can't cure nothing. With your reductionist thinking, you can't cure anything. But you can comfort most things now. What is man's biggest enemy? Pain. This has been man's enemy in the past. This is the man's enemy today and man's enemy in the future. You take any disease under the sun, pain. But today, we have in Western science, reductionist medicines, to allay pain of any kind. You don't have to worry about pain. But without pain, sometimes patients still have a lot of problems and say they are dying. Then Hippocrates said, console always. You know, a dying man is frightened. He doesn't know what's next. Though, of course, someone very clearly said here, I think our political leader very clearly said there is no hell and heaven. Very interesting. That brought me back to my mind a big debate I had to moderate at the last minute. The debate was, is there hell, is there heaven? And there are 2 sides arraigned. One side, all youngsters who have not gone to hell or heaven. And the other side, all elderly people expecting to go there soon. And the fight went on. And a very brilliant brain in India was to moderate that. Late C. Subramaniam, whom I respect very much. Last minute, his flight got so delayed in Bombay, he couldn't reach Mangalore. So the organizers came and said, sir, there are only 2 hours for the debate. And somebody has to moderate. And the moderator is not coming. Please come and moderate. Can you imagine that? So I went there without any idea whatsoever. So I heard both the sides. The youngsters were saying, now tell us, where is the proof, evidence, saying that there is heaven? Who has gone? The other side was saying, no, you don't know. As you grow old, you know where heaven is, where hell is. And, you must worry about that, and so on and so forth. It went on. It was 5:30 in the evening. So I told them, okay, now let's stop. Both of you have not seen hell or heaven. But this is a town hall. Just look out of the window. Poor children who have not had 1 meal a day, playing on the ground, filth, no proper clothes, and the dog is also lying there by the side. I said, that is hell. Now look at the inside of the town hall. You're all well fed. Just now you had a round of tea circulated, and you have biscuits, and you had a lunch. This is heaven. Now each one of you has to do one thing in life. That you are a good girl. Please try to convert a bit of that hell into heaven before you go from here. Wherever you go, you will do well. Because I was quoting D.H. Lawrence, who said, our ingress into this world was naked and bare. Our progress in this world, trouble but care. Our egress from this world will be nobody knows where. If you do well here, you will do well there. So why worry where you go? Now a dying patient is worried. I tell them, why are you worried? You are a good man. Dharma, Artha, Kama, Moksha. You will go to heaven and you should go there. You're very happy. That's where you wanted to go all your life. Supposing the account keeping in the God's book is slightly gone wrong. His chartered accountant was not honest. So you may go to hell. So what? So many of your friends are there. You're so happy there. This is called consoling. Did you understand that? Now, one request I have for the government, and I've already spoken to the government, is not to have caste system in sickness care. We have this caste system. Western medicine, Ayurveda, Unani, Siddha, homeopathy, and what have you. All these do the same thing. Cure rarely, comfort mostly, but console always. But at the end, what helps? It was said by a great thinker in medicine, very great thinker, Lord Platt, who was a professor of medicine in London for a long time. He was like a colossus. He said, what is medicine ultimately? Coming to the two human beings. A man who is ill, man includes a woman also, I'm not using it as a species, not as sex. A man or a woman who is ill comes to seek the advice of another man or a woman in whom he has got confidence. The word confidence. And when you have confidence in the other person, you automatically get cured. So this coming together of human beings is the apex of medicine. All else will flow from that summit, whether it is Western medicine, Eastern medicine, homeopathy, Umapathy, Ayurveda, anything. It all ultimately comes to two human beings trusting one another and having faith in one another. Now this, a little while ago I was telling you, an elaborate study, a prospective study which went for 4 years, done by 4 universities, Oxford, Cambridge, Hamburg and Munich, led by the Oxford University Professor Bingel, showed very clearly, exhaustively, that ultimate curing is because of the faith and not because of the medicine you use. Whether it is a Western chemical or homeopathy, the effect is the same. Did you get that? But there is one difference. Homeopaths will be very happy. What will happen to the reductionist chemical you put inside the system? Another extensive study was done in Washington University by a man called Douglas C. Wallace, D.C. Wallace. Anybody writing? Yes. This is the heading of this study was called Mitochondria as Chi. Chi is energy. Mitochondria as Chi. Now this man invented a computer chip called MIT chip, mitochondrial chip. And he tagged the chip onto every medicine that goes inside, whether it is aspirin to tucromycin. Everything he tags. Now and follows it computer-wise. When the medicine goes into the system says, hey, I have not seen this. This is something new. So I have never seen this. So throw it. It must be poison. And it's immediately thrown to the liver. So every chemical that you put inside your system, mark my words, I'm repeating it, every chemical is put into a system. If it is a reductionist chemical, that is a part of it, removed, it goes to the liver for destroying. And every medicine you take, and second day you go and test your liver function test, it will be altered. Now eventually what happens after years of taking medicines, your liver goes into cirrhosis. And today we have an epidemic, which I didn't have when I was a medical student in the 50s, is called non-alcoholic cirrhosis. In the olden days, one chemical that was getting into the human system and destroying the liver was C2H, alcohol. Today, we have hundreds and thousands of these chemicals going in various forms, and they destroy your liver. Even yesterday morning, as I landed in Bangalore, somebody was waiting in the hotel for me and saying that, look, my brother has got non-alcoholic cirrhosis. He's bleeding, and they say he's useless. Can you do something? I said, only I can pray. Nothing more can be done. Because, he has bled so many times, he is almost unconscious, he has got into hepatic encephalopathy. Nobody can do anything. We must know our limits. But friends, we can prevent these things by reducing the amount of chemicals you put into the system unnecessarily. This is my request. So, what we should do is, we need modern medicine. We need Western medicine for emergency care. But emergency care is 2% of the sick population in the world. 2%. Supposing I go out and meet with an accident. Now, God forbid. Now, I can't say I'll do yoga or I'll go into the pyramid and meditate. I'll come back to normal. No. Somebody has set my bones, right? So, after setting the bones, the healing can be enhanced inside the pyramid. Guruji is absolutely right. As the other person said, the blade which was inside the pyramid became sharper, so he could shave better. But most people in the concentration camp never shaved their face. So you don't worry about that. Now what happens here is, very interestingly, the Western medicine is needed for 2% of the population. So let us keep it as such. Let us not throw the baby and the bathwater out, because the bathwater is dirty. The baby is not dirty. We need the baby. So let's keep it. Now what's this disease diagnosis is our biggest disease. You are fine, you don't have any problem, you are very healthy, but you go for a checkup. Have you heard of this checkup? You read the British Medical Journal, there's a beautiful editorial which says, a routine checkup of the apparently healthy is the most dangerous thing that can happen to mankind. You are laughing, it's a very serious matter, don't laugh, because you are all in it. Now why is this happening? Very simple. We will not have to go to quantum physics for that. Simple statistics. What is the height of India, male, or Indian female for that matter? What do? We collect 1,000 males, take their height, and plot it on a graph. It becomes a Gaussian curve, a bell-shaped curve. You all know statistics a little, isn't it? So now, All these people are normal inside their curve. Did you understand that? But we take the mean plus 2 standard deviation as average, the middle. You put all this. There are people who are 4.6. There are people who are 6.2. Amitabh Bachchan. Jaya Bachchan, 4.6. You see that? Now we take a mean plus 2 standard deviation becomes 5.4. So we call normal. When did we start calling this as normal? Because we found there is business in it. What is the business? If you take the healthy population's average as disease population's normality, you get 25% on either side, which are called false positive. So for each parameter that you have checked in the lab, there are 25% false positive. So if 100 people go for a checkup, 2,500 patients come out. So a professor of medicine in America, she was very much concerned because she was a very good girl. There are occasional good doctors in America also. She asked her best student in the class, who is a patient? Do you know what the student said? A man or a woman who goes to see a doctor becomes a patient. She was shocked. She was literally shocked. She was so shocked. She was 52 years. And she said, if this is what I have taught my students, there is something wrong with our system. So she resigns her job at 52. And then, do you know what she did? She sat the MCAT examination. At 52, she joins her own medical college as a student to find out what is wrong with the medical education. And before that, before she could come out, my book had come out, What Doctors Don't Get to Study in Medical School. So she wrote me a letter. Had I seen your book, I wouldn't have wasted my time again sitting the MCAT and going through this. Do you know the next question she asked the student? When will he become a man or a woman again? The student shot back, rarely ever, comma, if ever, full stop. Modern medicine's, Western medicine's idea is not to cure your disease. If you have discovered a drug which cures a disease, they won't fund it. They want drugs which chronify your problem. I'll give you one example. How many diabetics are here? Raise your hand. Oh, good, good. Don't you worry. You're actually, in a way, better than normal people because according to some study done in Madras, you live 10 years longer than others. Now listen. Aren't you told that you should eat only wheat? Chapati every day? Enna sir? Do you know why? In the medical textbooks it is written that you must eat wheat only because wheat gluten is a direct poison to the pancreas's beta cells. So if you start eating wheat, you are permanently a diabetic as long as you live. Even if you live 10 years extra, it is good business for them because 10 more years you will buy their medicines. Did you get that? But look at this poor rice. Brown rice has a cover which we call as taudu, which has got a chemical called metadicol, which is a treatment for diabetes. Question is how much you eat. So don't eat anything in excess, but what you love to eat. This is the best philosophy in life. Now this is how we chronify disease. So our biggest problem is diagnosis. An American professor at Yale, she wrote a beautiful study in the American Journal of Medicine, which is called The End of Disease Era. She said, if we go after diseases, all people will be sick. So the whole population is sick for us to treat, which is a good catchment area, and we can make better business. But I have classified diseases differently for this talk. That's called emergency illness, which needs modern medicine, 2%. Minor illness syndromes, common cold, feverish cold, sore throat, and flu-like illness. Today, if you go to Bangalore city and find out 90% of the people have upper respiratory infection in winter. On a given day in Europe, 55 million people cannot go to work because of feverish cold. You know feverish cold, Sita Jwara? Feverish cold is not common cold. There are two different entities. Let's not go into that because there's no time. So 50 million people don't go to work. And what happens to this 50 million? They're all given antibiotics so that their immune system changes and they become asthmatics after some time. And what a job loss, 50 million. But if you know simple homeopathy, extensive studies have been done in England on this. There are simple two drugs, arum triphylatum and sambucus nigra. You can get relief in 2 hours, 5 minutes. The latest treatment for sore throat is very, very simple. Just sip hot water, hot, H-O-T, not warm water, real hot water, not hot water. Sit in a place, take a mug of hot water, sip, keep on sipping. When once you have raised your throat and head sent by 1 degree centigrade higher, the viruses die and you are okay. If you want to prevent this in winter, I'll give you a simple. Buy a bowl which is silver bowl or a silver glass, large glass. Keep water in that at night. Early morning you get up and drink that. You get nano silver which protects you from upper respiratory viruses. So 55 million people can go to work, and you see the productivity in Europe. If 55 million in Europe can't go to work, imagine we are 1.3 crores. 1.3 billion. And 1.3 billion people, it must be at least about 100 million or a million people who are not able to go to work because of the cold, fever, etc., etc. So the next large chunk can make do with simple medicines. 3 medicines I have given you. The next large chunk of disease is called what Paul was telling about. Doctor thinks you have a disease syndrome. You have nothing. You go for a checkup. You are labeled. That disease is called doctor thinks you have a disease syndrome. You don't have a disease. Now, one of the commonest diseases is you go for a checkup. Your cholesterol is on the higher side. Now, for the last about 30 odd years, we have made cholesterol a ghost. But now I am very happy because I have been fighting against it, against all odds, saying that cholesterol is good. The more the merrier, longer you live. And you don't get cancer if you have higher cholesterol, because every cell wall is made of cholesterol. And if you don't have cholesterol, the cell wall is not made properly. And if the cell wall is not properly, you get cancer higher. Anyway, now the American government has cleared cholesterol not as an enemy, but as a friend. With a beautiful picture in the Time magazine last month, with 2 bullseyes, egg bullseyes, and with some bacon through there, and said, best breakfast for you. And they said, don't fry your thing in oil, fry it in lard. Which means cholesterol is good for you. That's a good sign. But anyway, now you go around the world and take in India, every other person is taking cholesterol lowering drugs. Very dangerous. Cholesterol lowering drugs are chemicals which block the normal enzymes in the liver. Imagine liver is your chemical factory without which you can't survive. And you knock off your liver and go about it, how can you survive? And everybody who takes the cholesterol lowering drugs, from the first drug, cholesterol in the 50s, to statins today, the end result is more people have met their maker in heaven faster. So if you want to enhance your exit from this world, one of the best things is to take cholesterol lowering drugs. A study in France recently showed that women who are more than 90 years in the old nursing homes, their cholesterols are in 800, 900, 700 range. They're very healthy. And nobody has checked them, luckily. Now there is another, this is about 10% of the population is doctor thinks you have a disease syndrome. Because normal, Amitabh Bachchan goes for a checkup. Is he normal? No, he's not 5.4. What's our treatment? Cut his leg, make him 5.4. Then next day, Jaya Bachchan goes for a checkup. Is she normal? No, 4.6. What's the treatment? Transplant that leg to her. As now my friend Paul was saying, this beautiful girl, Angelina Jolie, poor thing. Paul, is he here? He did very well. Give him a big hand, ladies and gentlemen. Where is he? Angelina Jolie was told by her geneticist that you have genes which might give you breast cancer. So why have the breast? Why do women have the breast? When you are young, to attract a male, and when you are in the middle age, to feed your child. When you have done both, get rid of it so that your risk of cancer is gone. So she was told, and foolish girl, she agreed and had her breast removed. Then one job for the breast surgeon. Then the ready plastic surgeon is there to reconstruct a more beautiful breast. And that was done. Then I wrote an article saying that this foolish girl unfortunately has lost her breast, but doesn't matter, it's good for the industry because, as Paul rightly said, genes have no role to play in our life. It is the environment that has everything to do. That's called epigenetics, above the genes. And because human chromosome, one which holds the gene, has only 23,000 human genes, but 2.5 trillion germ genes, which means you are more of a germ's child than your parents' child. If you want to know we'll get cancer or not, you must study all those germs ancestors. A little, but we don't say that. This genetics has died long back, but we still do genetic engineering because there's a big business. Epigenetics, if you talk, there's no business there. So now we come back to our genes. These are not our enemies, they are our friends. And you would be surprised to know that meditation, which Guruji has taught you, you do it daily. Your chromosomes have got two shoe knots on the either side. They are called telomeres. It's like the shoe has a shoelace and metal ring. To keep the chromosomes, genes together, they got two rings at the either side. This is called telomeres. As you age older, this becomes smaller and smaller and smaller and smaller. When it becomes very small, you are dead. Now meditation makes it longer, longer, longer and longer. Epigenetics tells you that is what is called gene penetrance. You may have a gene, but that doesn't produce disease. If the environment is conducive, then the gene can penetrate and produce disease. This gene penetrance depends on the environment, and the environment depends on tranquility of mind. And the tranquility of mind is what yoga says, chitta, vritti, nirodha, yoga. So meditation will make you tranquil, irrespective of what method meditation. I have a simple method of meditation. Simply sit quietly, close your eyes in a quiet place, don't pick up your phone, and don't react to anything. And just 20 minutes later, you open your eyes, you're so tranquil. A study was done in industry in Vijayawada. There's an industry called Siri industry, and 2,000 people work there. So the chairman one day thought, he gave them half an hour free in the morning as they come, and he built a big hall. And he himself came, old man, 80 years, and he took a mic and said, all of you close your eyes for 5 minutes and say Om after me. And everybody did that. His director said, you're losing unnecessarily half an hour. That means 1,000 hours gone, and you'll lose your business. But on the contrary, his business improved. But what he found was, a lot of them were not closing their eyes. They had holiday, Then he said, if you keep your eyes closed for half an hour, just keep your eyes closed for half an hour, you'll get 10 rupees extra in the pay. 100% compliance. They were keeping it closed for longer than 5 minutes. See, this shows you our obsession about money. Anyway, that's a big thing. He has done a lot of other work, and he has even studied how to teach a child in the womb. He has got a large population of women, and when they're pregnant, he gives them 3 hours of time and shows them beautiful movies so that the child gets educated, and he has shown how the whole thing can be taught. Now we come back to the fourth class of diseases. Doctor thinks you have a disease syndrome is one class, 10%. Then patient thinks she or he has a disease syndrome, 20%. All of you think you become hypochondriac because we live in the midst of sickness scarcity center. You open a magazine in the morning, you see, oh, somebody has died of this disease or that disease. You look at the television, you see only bad news. You go out and you get only bad news. You see advertisement of drugs for every disease, and they frighten you out of your wits. So much so you become a hypochondriac and you think you have a disease. Because if somebody you have seen dying of breathlessness, you start thinking you have breathlessness. Now this also does not require drugs. This requires only tranquility. Then we have what are called incurable diseases. Cancer is not a curable disease at all. Cancer can be prevented but not cured. And so, but today, the biggest industry is cancer industry, which is trying to cure cancer. This can't be done. So the last thing, that is patient thinks he or she has a disease syndrome, also requires only treatment of the mind. I'll come back to that. Now then the incurable diseases, they require palliation. What does it require? Comfort. and encouragement. If you encourage them, and their mind can cure cancer. I have got any number of examples, recorded examples, published examples. The mind can cure cancer. The last is chronic illnesses, like rheumatoid arthritis, a lot of autoimmune diseases, they're all chronic diseases. And what do we have? Steroid, for everything steroid. You give them steroid, after some time they get diabetes, they get broken bones, they get their kidneys damaged, and they die of infection. No, on the contrary, what is autoimmune disease? Why do your own body cells hate your own body cells? Now you go back to the origin of the human body. I just gave you a glimpse when Guruji came and put his shoulders on his hands on my shoulders, so I couldn't go further. I'll now tell you, you are a colony of 100 trillion human beings. They're all cells. Each one of these cells loves another cell in the vicinity and loves all the cells because we are all one family. Did you know that? He is my first cousin, Karthikeyan, because we spend most time together. Why cousin? His energy and my energy originally is the same energy, universal energy. So he is my best relative. So my cells love Karthikeyan cells. Okay, did you understand now? We all love one another, and it's love that keeps us going. Now some of us start hating another person. How to get Karthikeyan down from the CBI chair, and how do I sit on the Karthikeyan's chair? Then I start working on that. Our politicians are very good at that. Now when I start working at that, do you know what happens? Our cells get confused. I love Karthikeyan cells. Why is my owner hating Karthikeyan? Did you get that? And if you continue to do that, they start hating my own cells. This is the cause of autoimmune disease, which Paul Ehrlich called horror autotoxicus. So what is the treatment? I have many number of patients, you just tell them, okay, now go back home, sit in a quiet room, and think who all you hate in this world. Make a list, come back to me, and we will start loving them. And you would be surprised, rheumatoid arthritis patients, joints go away. There's a big man in America. He had a worst autonomic nervous system, immune disease. Norman Cousins. Norman Cousins was a very famous journalist in the Kennedy-Khrushchev era. And he goes for covering the Kennedy-Khrushchev meeting in Moscow on a wintry December morning. When they get out of the plane, the temperature was minus 42 degrees centigrade. And as he was walking, a jet was turning on the other side, and that hot jet wave hit him. So he thought his disease started there. He started having pain in the joints. He came back to Boston and went to Harvard. They said, look, you got one of the worst autoimmune diseases called ankylosing spondylitis. You will freeze, become like a rock and die. We can't do anything. So get admitted to the hospital, live here. So he lived there, waiting to die. Suddenly his friends came. He was a very famous journalist, Norman Cousins. Then they came, and each one started joking about something, just to divert his attention. They joked and he found out whom all he hated, and he started laughing. Then they brought a 16mm movie camera because those days there was no television. This idiot box set was not born. So then he laughed all Charlie Chaplin movies and all, and he saw his fingers moving, then gradually his hands moving. Then he sat up in the bed, and 3 months later he went home. Instead of going to the cemetery, he went home, lived for another 25 years and died. He wrote a beautiful book for you. Please read that. Anatomy of an Illness. What's the book's name? Anatomy of an Illness. It is a small book, $7, 100 pages. You can read it in 1 hour if you read seriously. And his name is Norman Cousins. Norman Cousin. Cousin. And now I was telling you about these drugs, what happens when you put the drugs unnecessarily into your system. They destroy the liver. But when you put a herbal drug, here comes Ayurveda, a herbal drug, body says, this I know. This is my usual food. My ancestors also used to take it. So it's absorbed, and if it does any good, it does any good, but it doesn't do any harm. Did you get the difference? I'll give you an example. There were these young boys in Tata Institute of Fundamental Research doing the usual Western thing. They started reading my foolish ideas, and then they said, why not we do the holistic research? So they took one herb, Brahmi. You know Brahmi? Ek patta. My grandmother used to give me Brahmi chutney before I went for the exam. And I used to think my grandmother is very big at that time. Then I became a doctor. I said, foolish lady, why did she give the chutney to me? These boys made chutney out of Brahmi. Because there are so many studies of Brahmi extract, reductionism of Brahmi. Nothing happened. They made the chutney and gave it to rats. 6 months later, they found these rats are so brilliant, you put them in any maze, they come out. They were shocked. So they killed the rat and cut the brain, and they found the hippocampus major had become very big. That's the area where memory is stored. And it's 3 times its size. Then they cut the hippocampus major and looked at it. The cells were so active and so proliferative that the brain really changes with whole Brahmi, but not reductionist Brahmi chemical. There are 43 studies on garlic. All said garlic is good for cooking, but not for medicine. Because they didn't use garlic, they used garlic pearl. Garlic pearl is a reductionist garlic where the SH group is removed to remove the smell. When you take garlic as garlic, raw garlic, put it in the mouth and munch it nicely, the alanine in the garlic becomes allicin because it joins with the trypsin in the saliva, and it becomes a very powerful medicine. And garlic is such a powerful medicine, I tell you. This is the only question I have about our ancient wisdom. Why wise people have avoided garlic in the diet. Maybe it's an aphrodisiac, but aphrodisiacs are not bad. So garlic is a wonderful blessing on mankind by heaven, but we avoided. For example, ginger is a very powerful viral, antiviral drug. And who had to do the research? Professor Zyment in Harvard. Because our researchers here, you tell them garlic, hey, garlic, ginger, useless, all. So friends, this study done by Douglas Wallace, D.C. Wallace, opened the eyes of the whole world. The study is published as Mitochondria as Chi. Have you written, madam, with the shawl? Good. And the author's name is Douglas Wallace, Wallace. And the journal is Genetics, very famous journal. Year is 2008. Volume is 179. And page is 727. Go to the internet, it's free. Read it. So friends, I have given you 2 studies from the West, quote unquote scientific, which shows you that their own medicines are not good. Did you understand that? Now we don't have to go there. Now why have we invoked quantum physics to medicine to understand it? Quantum physics is the latest science, which is a holistic science. Rest of Western physics, what's called conventional physics, solid state physics, particle physics, it's reductionist science. All the chemistry of the West, there's chemistry which is organic, inorganic, is all dead. We have a new chemistry of nanoparticles. And such a beautiful thing, we require quantum physics because quantum physics understands the energy part of it. And all healing happens through energy. And the mind, unfortunately, Paul is here, the mind is not in the brain. We thought the mind was in the brain, and we're working on that even now. If you have a depression, you go to the doctor, your psychiatrist, what will he give you? A chemical. Why? He thinks the chemical will cure your depression. The depression is the mind. Chemical will affect the brain. So what will the chemical do? It will go and damage your brain and make you a zombie, and eventually you are called Alzheimer's disease, a new disease we have discovered. So a professor of psychiatry in New York, she found out all this and wrote a book, Dementia, a drug-induced crime on mankind by doctors. What's the book's name? Dementia, a drug-induced crime on mankind. Her name is Grace Elizabeth Jackson. What's the name? Jackson, Elizabeth Jackson, Grace. Her first name is Grace. Grace was a professor of psychiatry in New York, and when the book came out, she lost her job. Because it's against the industry. So she lost her job. Doesn't matter. This book has got her millions of dollars and invitation for lectures all over the world. And Grace is so happy now writing more books. See how the world runs? So you can't swim against the current. You can't talk against the current. So the future medical care system in India should be an integrated system of medicine drawn from every system. Homeopathy. I tell you, there are certain wonderful things in Siddha. There's a thing called vermology. This is like a simple spot analysis, and you tickle that, your blood sugar comes down. There's another spot, you tickle that, your blood pressure comes down. So Siddha has a lot of good things. Unani has very good things. There is hardly any system where there is nothing good. But we have a big job to do, and that is authenticate these using the scientific hard trials. This is what we are doing for the last 10 years. I was motivated by a great scientist. In my opinion, there's no greater scientist than him, late Professor Rustum Roy of Penn State University fame. He got the Genius of the Century Award. This man is phenomenal. He has done a lot of things, and we have been able to authenticate a lot of things using that. And we run an institution called the World Academy of Authentic Healing Sciences, and we have a journal of which I am the founder, co-editor-in-chief, and Rustum Roy, till he died, was my co-editor-in-chief. And after that, I had the director of the Max Planck Institute of Physics in Munich, Hans-Peter Dürr, as my co-editor-in-chief. Now he also died, he was 89. And now I have got the professor of genetics in the Penn State University, and she is the editor-in-chief now. And we do this work for mankind's good. We don't take any money. Karthikeyan is one of the directors in us, and the government is still troubling me because they are fining me for not getting the FCRA. So, this is the problem with the, if you do some good work, people are after you because the industry is after you. So, friends, we have already discovered the method. I have extensively written about it, and I have written that the future is integrated system, and I have written what is called modern Indian medical future system. Now, why do we call modern medicine from West? Today we want everything from the West to say, oh, it's scientific. The modernity is not from the West. Modernity is something that any culture can have modernity. Western things have also moved from being sorcery, witchcraft, and what have you, 5,000 years ago in the Nile Valley, which went to Egypt, went to Greece, went to Arabia, and then came to Greece, and then Europe, and then became modern medicine. Why not we do that for us? There's a beautiful saying in Latin. If you want to move forwards, prospice, respice. If you want to move forwards, look back. And when we look back, we have a hoary past. We now talk of quantum physics. The quantum physics originated in Sanatana Dharma. I'll give you an authentic article written by a Nobel laureate and an alternate Nobel laureate, who was my co-editor-in-chief, Hans-Peter Dürr. The article's name is Matter is Not Made Out of Matter. What's the article's name? Matter is Not Made Out of Matter. You simply have to go to Google and say, matter is not made out of matter. Hans-Peter Dürr, H-A-N-S-P-E-T-E-R-D-U-R-R or D-U-E-R-R. Both German spellings are correct. And when once you get it, you read it. There he says so beautifully, he is the man who found out energy is matter, matter is energy, which he calls as a-duality, no duality. Then he writes there, I look like a small kid playing in the front of the Indian sages of yore who had recognized this quantum physics, quantum reality, thousands of years ago. They called it as Advaita, Tat Sat. And so beautifully, he can quote this from the Upanishad. So beautifully. He says, he quotes that. It's in the Gita also. From the Upanishad, it came to the Gita. After all, Gita is a beaded necklace from the Upanishads. And one of the necklaces is, one of the beads is, Bahir Antascha Bhutanam. Energy is inside and outside of everything. Bahir Antascha Bhutanam. Charam Acharamevacha. Guruji looks solid, but there is nothing solid about it. Every leptocon in a leptocock in it is jumping about. And his leptococs are jumping and getting to Karthikeyan's. Karthikeyan's leptococs are jumping to him. And in between, this beautiful girl has got leptococs coming from both of them. Charam Acharamevacha. Sukshmavate Tavijnayam. Nobody can see an electron, said Sanatana Dharma. And none of the physicists who got Nobel Prize for describing an electron have seen an electron. Why can't you see an electron? You studied, what did you study? Vastu Shastra. Anybody who has studied physics? Huh? Why can't you see an electron? No, no. An electron has to be subatomic. But why can't you see it is a question. Now don't confuse us. In the physics class, the professors confuse us. I don't know whether it's in a waveform because Father Johnson got the Nobel Prize in 1907 for saying they are particles. His son Thomson, 37, got it for saying they are waves. And Schrodinger got it by saying they are wavicles. So we don't know whether waves are, we have not seen them. How can you describe them? Good, good. That's something, you're somewhere there, but come on. Oh, no, 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 no. Very simple. How do I see you? How do I see you? Oh, no, ma. Uncertainty principle is something different. We'll come to that. No, no, no. You are also energy. Why am I seeing you? If I have to see you or see any object, a few photons will have to leave you and hit my retina. If one photon leaves an electron, the electron changes. So nobody can see an electron because when you try to see the electron is changed. Sanatana Dharma again says, Asino vrajati duram shayano jati sarvata, which is called quantum entanglement. Quantum entanglement. Quantum tunneling. Quantum energy can go through the tunnel, go through the wall, go through anything. It's called quantum tunneling. But the most important thing is quantum entanglement. We are all quantum energy. We have quanta inside and we can entangle. And when you entangle with people, you are one. And when you love others, you can never get a disease. Did you know that? If you want to be happy, love others. If you want to be disease-free, love others. Why loving others is not LUST. No, no, no. That is different. This love has got a different spelling. COMPASSION. Universal compassion. Vinaya. You know, what impressed me most in this place? None of these buildings. This young man was touching the feet of an ordinary person like me, which means he is a personification of humility. And humility is the greatest virtue. If I have to give a PhD, I wouldn't give it for this bullshit of this is, I'll give it for the most humble man. So our Guruji must have a PhD from all universities. अरे 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 हम नीचे आके आपका पाव पड़ेगा. So humility is not only a greatest virtue, humility is a good education, and humility makes you feel happy because you want to love others. I didn't complete that what I said. Why are you here? Because each germ gave a DNA and made you. So it is your job to do something for others. Paropakarartham idam shariram. So friends, treating a disease is very simple, provided you understand the other person's consciousness. And this is a new science called biocentrism. Biocentrism is whole world depends on you. Now I look at you, you're all there, right? I close my eyes. Are you there? I don't know. So it is my perception that you are there. And the first quantum physicist, Max Planck, said, there can't be a perception without a perceiver. Did you understand that? So it's a perception. And what is my perception? When I look at the patient, my perception should be, how can I help this human being to come back to good? Today, do you know what is my perception? When I see a patient, do you have insurance? Do you have a government job? Are you working for the bank? Is your wife coming from a very rich family? Because I just want to know how thick his purse is. Depending on that, my treatment. Doctors were told, do not expect money for the treatment because your effect goes down. Sanatana Dharma. In the 18th century England, doctors, there are no hospitals. Doctors are supposed to go to the patient's house. And you thank the household for giving you an opportunity to help another man in distress. Supposing you do everything and then you're supposed to wash your hands. When you go to the wash basin, if the household is rich, there will be 3 gold coins called guineas, a pound and a shilling. You just pocket it and go home. Supposing you go to wash your hands, no guineas kept. That means the household is poor, they can't afford it. So you wash your hands, go back inside the house again, and thank them for giving you an opportunity to help another human being in distress. I tell you, it is such a satisfying feeling to say, patient comes and tells you, doctor, you saved my life. I didn't do nothing, but he thinks I saved his life. And I tell you, it makes you so happy, your day is made. And that is called the art of medicine. You know, the science of medicine we talk is nothing. It's the art of medicine that cures the patient. That's the placebo effect. My former chief in Harvard, who is 92, did this study and published about 2 years ago, where what happened to 600 patients who were sent for bypass surgery to Harvard from Massachusetts cardiologists. But he has a screening team which said none of these people need bypass surgery. So he said, okay, we'll do a new test. What he did was he had 2 theaters assigned, theater A and theater B, where we used to do laser tip myocardial revascularization, which is called TMR, total myocardial revascularization, where the patient doesn't know, he is just have an injection. So the protocol in A was anesthetize, treat, surgery, and then send. B was anesthetize, he'll be sleeping, wake him up, and tell him he had a wonderful operation. Right? Got it? Now, over 5 years, they had 300 patients on either side, about 300, 298 or something like that. After another 5 years, they see all these 300 who went to B theater were perfectly normal. And scanning showed their myocardium was 100% revascularized. In A, half of them had open bypass surgery, and then other half of the other half were in heaven with their maker prematurely. What did it show? The placebo effect. The patient believed that he was operated and he's fine because his doctor told him he's fine, and that's it. And our friend Bingel's study also showed he gave a drip of morphia for a pain and then told, this is not morphia, this is a new vitamin we have found for cancer, you will be all right. But your pain may not go, and the pain didn't go. Next time the same patient was taken over, it's called crossover study. Saline was run in and he was told, this is morphia, latest salt of morphia. Your pain will go, everybody's pain went. Nonplussed. They did fMRI concurrently, repeated the test. And when they found, when the patient believed in his doctor, faith, F-E-F-A-I-T-H, his forebrain was so active that it produced opioids, more powerful painkillers. When he believed it's not morphia, his brain slept. And you must read this study, I tell you, it's such a fascinating study. And if you study this and read this, you will know where we are going. And we don't require a very expensive system for medicine. Doctors in London in 1823 were so bad that one doctor, young doctor, his name is James Wakeley, 30 years, MD, and he was also an MP in the House of Commons. He said, doctors in London have become a bunch of corrupt, nepotistic, incompetent fools, and they become an abscess on the human body. I'm going to start a science journal, and I'll cut this abscess. And the name of the journal was The Lancet. Have you heard that? Lancet is a knife we use for surgery. So he named it Lancet, 1823. 2014 to be precise, the present editor, Richard Horton, wanted to know what impact has Lancet made in 185 years. So he commissioned a medical historian called Hilary Butler, and she wrote a paper which said, one sentence I'll tell you, what was in 1823 a bunch of corrupt impostors, fools as an abscess, today has transformed itself into a corporate monstrosity which is cutting everybody at the knees. Never make money in the sick room, said Hippocrates. Today, it's in the sick room only we make the maximum money because it's the best industry. Have you understood this? So if you understand that, please transmit this idea of love, universal compassion, which heals. Healing is a better word than curing. Curing means bringing back to original state, which is impossible in this universe. Healing is making him whole. You can heal a dying patient also and make him feel happy. When once he is happy, he dies. And as Sanatana Dharma said, the soul does not die. A latest study in Illinois showed that dead patients' consciousness is still alive for as long as they are in the hospital. Beyond that, they have not studied. And as long as the patient was, the dead body was in the hospital, the consciousness was alive. How many have read that book, Life After Death? Raymond Moody Jr. Of course, you can always criticize that it's not done. No, it is all done properly. And all that showed was when you have a heart stopping and brain dead, when the brain doesn't get blood supply, you still can see your consciousness telling you. One nurse told this patient, they were giving him pumping and all. She came and said, hey, leave him alone here, he is dead. And she went. She was the main nurse in the theater. No? This patient had never seen that lady before. Okay? Anyway, he recovered and he was in the intensive care unit recovering very well. And this nurse, being the matron, she goes there and says, hi, how are you? Then she said, you are the lady who said this ass is dead. I am here alive. She collapsed. She collapsed. So, you have your consciousness, there's the energy in and around you, which is the halo around you, and this energy is what heals. And this energy, why don't you use it to heal others? You spread this message. Quantum healing is very simple, I'll tell you. Quantum healing is, you create your own thoughts, and these are quantum thoughts. And the thoughts heal you. Because, if you go a little deep into quantum physics, the Planck's quotient says, every second, your matter and energy change 1044 times, which is called a Planck's constant. And just as every atom knows the blueprint of a molecule, every energy knows the blueprint of a matter. So supposing, let us say, you have a problem with your liver, let us say you have a cancer in the liver. You just meditate and say, let my liver cancer go away. So when next time the energy, which is the quantum energy, changes into matter, it rebuilds your liver without the cancer. It doesn't happen overnight, because we all want quick fixes, That's why we like Western medicine. You have a fever now, today the fever should come down. Nobody tells you fever is a good thing God has given you because you have a germ inside you. The germ to kill you require higher temperature. On the contrary, we go and kill the fever. So instead of 1 day's recovery, which you would have had without the drug, you have 1 week's recovery and then say, oh, I'm a weakness, I can't go to the hospital, and all because of drugs. So friends, it's your thought that can change. And where does the thought generate? In the mind, not in the brain. Remember that? The lady who showed that the opiate receptors outside the brain for the first time, she is dead, Candace Pert in the NIH. So the NIH director who got this, because she will get Nobel Prize certainly for this. So he published that in his name. So she went to the Nobel Committee with her ledger and said, this is my work, this rascal has published that. So in the bargain, he didn't get the Nobel Prize and she also didn't get the Nobel Prize. But she has written a book for you, how you can treat yourself with the mind. And the book's name is Molecules of Emotion. What's the book's name? Molecules of Emotion. And the author's name? Candace, C-A-N-D-A-C-E, Pert, P-E-R-T. And there one sentence I'll tell you in that book. The book is very good. It tells her about her problems and things like that. She says, time has come for us now not to reach to the cupboard for pills for a headache. You take a quiet place in your house, better Guruji's pyramid, sit quietly for a little while and elevate your consciousness to a level where your consciousness, your mind can heal your headache. Drugless treatment. So fascinating. And a lot of people will say, oh, what is homeopathy? I can't see any chemistry in homeopathy. I test it, there's no chemistry. There can't be chemistry because it's not meant to be chemistry. Now, Rustum Roy has found out the structure of water, which has got loose bands. You put any medicine, say a drop of Sambucus nigra into medicine, that changes the structure of medicine. And the same structure remains changed even if you dilute it 1 million times. And it's a change structure's energy that heals and not the chemical. Chemical, if you give it to the body, it destroys. Here there's no chemical, only changed water. And water is alive. We were taught in botany that water is sucked up the tree by capillary action. No, water is so alive, like a snake, it can go wherever it wants to go. Water is fascinating. So the new science of evolutionary biology has clearly taught us that the human system is a closed system. Vis-a-vis the Western science, which says human system is an open system. What is the difference between the two? Simple difference is, in the olden days, you wanted hot water in Bangalore for a bath, you had to take a bucket of water and put your heater inside that. When the water is hot, you have to remove the heater yourself, which means for the water to be heat or cold, you require an outside agency, a doctor, to do that. Today, we have come to a geyser. You switch on and go away. The water heats on its own, When the water is hot, the adapter will push it off, and when the water becomes cold, it becomes warm again. So human system is like that. It has got an inbuilt doctor, the most qualified doctor. He is above PhD. His name is the immune system. And we have to guard our immune system very, very carefully. That is the essence of Ayurveda, which says, swasthasya swastha rakshitam. Preserve the wellness of the healthy. And to do that, Ayurveda has elaborate systems of panchakarma. And when your immune system is guarded, you can't get any disease, including cancer. So friends, though it is very easy to say, it is difficult to do. You have to do certain things because you must have an environment in your body which is conducive for health. Now, for example, we eat so many things. Like, we are carnivores, except eating man. Of course, we eat man every day, but except eating man in physical sense, we eat all animals. So this makes your body's environment acidic. Acid environment, cells cannot survive. So the cells mutate and become cancer. You just have to make it alkaline. Very simple. You can drink alkaline water. God has given you a fantastic alkaline water. That's called tender coconut water. Now today in America, every house has cartons of tender coconut water. Not Coca-Cola and Pepsi and all. Tender coconut water. Tender coconut water is such a fascinating alkaline liquid that if you have every day a tender coconut water, cancer will find it very difficult to come in. Supposing you can't get tender coconut water, let us say you are not in the tropics. Somebody will say, I'm from Timbuktu in Canada, or I'm in Quebec or somewhere. You still can do that. You get a lime piece, put it in your drinking water, pieces of lime, cut it, and then drink that water next day. Preferably keep it in either silver, gold, or bronze, or copper vessel. I tell you, it becomes so healthy. So friends, preserving health is more profitable than treating diseases. Diseased population in this world is only 5% on a given day. 95% of the people are healthy. So it's more profitable to look after these healthy people by trying to preserve their health, as Ayurveda says, than otherwise. So the future is for quantum thinking. But healing is not done by quantum energy. Healing is done by spiritual energy, which is much higher than quantum energy. And there are no quanta in the spiritual level. The spiritual energy comes from our spiritual beliefs. Spirituality is not religion. If I bend it down for practical level, do you know what spirituality? Sharing and caring. If you share and care, you become a spiritual person. And when you share and care, you become a healthy person. There's a beautiful saying in Massachusetts General Hospital. There was a man called Peabody, Francis Peabody, who was the director of the Mass General Hospital in 1927, he retired. He gave a motto which they have written there. Patient care is caring for the patient. Did you understand that? Patient care is caring for the patient. That's the motto of the Massachusetts General Hospital. You go there, it's written on the wall. Patient care is caring for the patient. Caring. That's what D.H. Lawrence wrote. Our progress in this world is trouble, but care. And care for others, you will be a healthy person. Scare others, you will be an unhealthy person. Hate others, you will get autoimmune disease. Now let me once again thank Guruji, the organizers, and all of you for a patient hearing. I know what you will say when you go home. Why did they call that foolish fellow? He was talking something I didn't understand. I was a friend of mine who used to go from place to place lecturing. He was a parish priest, but a Protestant one, not a Catholic one. So one day he was Sunday it was, and he was in Bangalore, and he was staying in a hotel, and he wanted to write a letter to his wife, because those days there was no email and all. So he wrote a letter, wanted to post it. So he came out of the hotel, being Sunday, he didn't know where the post office is. But there are a couple of urchins playing on the roadside. So he told the kids, can you show me the post office? Come on, sir, it's a holiday for us. Come on, we will help you. They took him to the post office, and he posted the card. And coming back, he thought, I'm a priest. These children have helped me. I must do something. So he went to the shop and said, give me some chocolates to give to the kids. And when he put his hand inside, the wallet was in the hotel. So he told the kids, sorry, I don't have money to buy you, but this evening I am giving a lecture in the pyramid of Guruji. It costs you 100 rupees to enter, but I'll give you some ticket. You show it to the entry people there and say that this man is talking, so we will come and attend free. So this is my present for you. Children know, children are curious, not like us, because we were stopped thinking at school. Did you know that? A Nobel laureate, Alexis Carrel, wrote in his book, Man the Unknown, every newborn child is a genius. 100% true. Only to be converted into an idiot in school. Do you think it's not right? It's right, ma. Because in school you are taught deterministic predictability model of Newton. What is that? 2 plus 2 is 4. Now if young lady there, what is that called? Uncertainty principle. 1925, this young man was a student in the Zurich Polytechnic class. And who was teaching him? Albert Einstein, Nobel laureate. And what was he teaching? E is equal to mc squared. This boy gets up in the class and says, you're talking through your hat, sir. This is not true. These are all deterministic Newtonian physics. It's not true. What happens to a student who tells a Nobel laureate teacher that he is foolish? He becomes an outstanding student. So you're standing outside physics for 30 years, and he gets his Nobel Prize in 1956 for what he said in 1925. What did he say? Uncertainty principle. QP is not equivalent to PQ, which means 3 into 2 may be 6, but 2 into 3 need not be 6. This is not taught in the school. See, that's why Alexis Carrel said, every newborn child is a genius to be converted an idiot in school. Guruji Tagore did not want to go to school. His father encouraged him, and he didn't go to school, he didn't learn English, but Tagore gets the Nobel Prize in 1913 for the English Gitanjali he wrote in 1911. Somebody asked him, where did you study English? Ekalavya? For studying English, you have to go to Cambridge, is it? No, I taught English for myself. Great brain. So friends, I want all of you to THINK, 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 think. One young man spoiled science for this world. His name is René Descartes, who said, cogito ergo sum. I think, therefore I am. No. I am, and there. He said, reversed it. Because you are here and you have a consciousness, you can think. And if you did that, whole science of the West looks like child's play. And this new science of holism, look at everything as a whole, and that is the future of science. Now anyway, what happened to these children? They asked a question, sir, what are you talking about? Then the priest became very serious. Me, I'm a priest, I'm talking about way to heaven, God, and esoteric thing. Children burst out laughing loudly. Then the man said, sir, why are you laughing? No, sir, a man who doesn't know the post office way, how does he know way to heaven? Thank you very much.
Nobody wants this to end, but then, may I call Mr. Patriji and Mr. Karthikeyan on the stage to honor Dr. Hegde.
To lift a policeman requires a lot of energy.
Well, nobody wants the talk to end. That itself shows how greatly we all admired, appreciated. I consider Dr. B.M. Hegde a genius, nothing less than that. Perhaps had he been in America or somewhere for what all he has been writing in the last so many years, and his writings in the British medical journals contain even highly critical of modern medicine and the unnecessary surgeries that is going on and all that. Had I been born in America or somewhere, perhaps he would have got a Nobel Prize also. Why, sir? Why, sir? Because he participates with a lot of Nobel laureates all the time in discussions and all that. So one instance itself, he has mentioned to you, last 30, 40 years he has been writing about cholesterol. And today, after millions and millions of people have spent trillions and trillions of dollars buying and consuming drugs against cholesterol, now they say what he has been telling last 40 years is true. 40 years he has been saying that. And now says, this goes unreported. Normally, had been anywhere else, they would have praised him. Anyhow, it's so dear friend of mine, I can't praise him more than that. But, wherever he goes, at every talk of his, I heard him a number of times, but it's always enjoyable and enlightening. And also a man of great courage, knowledge. More than that, I admire his courage to speak what he says, which is also meditation and spiritual practices, and ultimately, as he says, is love, caring for each other, is the recipe for our own health and health of the universe also. So you have got the right man to speak about meditation and also about healing. I thank you, sir.
Only one thing, don't eat garlic. He needs a third eye to know and understand many, many more things, which comes from meditation. Third eye gives you knowledge of all the other dimensions, all your past lives, past karma. Meditation gives you third eye. Third eye, you see the truth. Without third eye, you don't see the truth. Thank you very much, sir.
Thank you. Thank you, brother. Can we have the music off for a minute? 3 physicists came to India in 1905 to learn Eastern philosophy. They went to the Himalayas, studied, and then they came back. And one of them wrote a book. In 1920, it was published in Chennai, in Madras, Madras then, by the Oxford University Press. She wrote there what is called occult chemistry. That is a book, very small book. And she writes, after I got into the Siddhi state of yoga, I developed a third eye, which looks like the eyepiece of a microscope, where I could see the inside of 10 elements from hydrogen to helium. And what I found was, there is nothing inside the atom. Atom is empty. Which she wrote in 1920, and today quantum physics says atom is empty. And her name is Annie Besant.